We are at Slate's design studio in Los Angeles today to learn a lot more about this basic little EV pickup truck, but the big news is that it is going to start at that number, 24,950, before destination is applied. But before we get into all the other nitty-gritty stuff, we're gonna take it for a quick ride and let you know what we think what it's like to be in on the road. Here we go. We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us. It's punchy, it's quick.
Super fun to drive.
How do you balance the need to get as much range as possible out of a relatively small battery pack with the desire to deliver like a sort of punchy, fun to drive experience?
That is a combination of all the vehicle components coming together. It's 181 horsepower. It's nothing like crazy like some of the other EVs on the market, but we felt that the low-end torque made it very fun and punchy to drive. And it's still very smooth and quiet. For a daily driver, that's what we really were going for. As far as efficiency goes, we're doing that by minimizing all of the options and the functions. So we have literally just our thermal system running to keep the battery cool.
What are the compromises that you guys had to deal with when trying to balance, like, it's a daily driver, as you said, with the needs of like a truck, a theoretical truck buyer?
We did our absolute best from an engineering perspective to provide the best balance between the two. So, you know, being an EV, it's naturally a very nice weight split, like front to rear. So it dynamically, like it naturally is very good. And then, so just ensuring that the spring rates and everything are correct for when we have full payload and we're at GVW and we have a very safe chassis.
But it feels like a nice split between car and truck. Also, like, there's a lot of room in this like it's so big in here. Like it feels a lot bigger than the outside dimensions would lead you to believe. And I think you can go even lower, but I like that the seating position isn't necessarily like too high. I think that's a mistake a lot of companies make, is they think everybody wants to sit like so freaking high, and it's like I don't really. Like I'd like to I'd like to be able to have a regular sight line. How far along in validation are you guys? How close would you say, to being finished with everything?
We're going to be shipping units by the end of the year. So we're doing it, you know, we have this whole hot season coming up and we're going to be doing lots of testing and validation. We have certification coming up in a few weeks, so.
Okay, this is quite the privilege. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be on that.
Very excited to have you guys too and get your opinions and try to get this thing to production.
Maybe we can take one of these around our little test track and see what it's like. It might be kind of fun.
That would be awesome.
Thinking about trading into a Slate or anything else? We've got tools on the site to help you find out what your old car is worth and even get competitive offers from multiple dealerships. We'll put a link in the description, or you can just scan the QR code. First thing I want to talk about while we're standing next to the Slate is the fit and finish of it. This is a production intent truck, and it is a much nicer item than the ones I have seen in the past. The panel gaps are tight, it looks nice, it looks very much like a finished product. These panels are made of a glass-injected polypropylene composite, aka fancy plastic, but they are very dent resistant. And the good thing about that is, let's say you get into a little fender bender or something like that, you can actually pop these 4 screws off and then a couple in the wheel well here, and then you can just take the panel off, pop a new one right back on, because they're all going to come in this gray color. You don't have to worry about paint matching, taking it to a body shop or a service center. You can do it yourself, and I think that's pretty cool. It's all about saving money and keeping costs down for the consumer, and that's basically Slate's goal. I like it. Another something you may or may not have seen before is the Slate has a frunk. It's around 7 cubic feet, which is definitely big enough for around 2 carry-on suitcases. It's one of the bigger ones I've seen. It's definitely bigger than something like the CLA EV, and definitely bigger than most Teslas, at least the ones that I have seen. They really wanted to make this space usable. In fact, so much so that they moved some of the cooling components down and canted them forwards, so that way you can't even see them, to give you this opening to work with. There's also the fuse box here and some bottles for coolant and some such things. There's also a drain plug in here, so if you are fond of front gating, as Slate likes to call it, you can use this as a cooler and then drain it when you're all done with your sports day, which I think is super duper neat. I'm going to be doing that for sure. The inside of the Slate hasn't changed very much since we saw it the last time, because customization really is the name of the game here. You still get yourself some crank windows, you get air conditioning, heating, a little screen with a backup camera, your state of charge, your speed, and a range estimate in the little cluster here, and not that much else. Also, it's worth noting that the Slate only comes with a PTC heater. There is no heat pump in this thing. It's a very cheap car. It won't have the same level of sophistication as something like the Rivian R2 or something like that. That's not that big of a deal to me. As standard, you get a phone holder for your directions and stuff like that. There is no nav screen like there is in basically every other new car. Instead, as standard, you get these little glove box guys that hang out just like this. There's also a 12-volt power outlet right here for, charging up something like a phone. Let's talk about the seats. They're actually pretty comfortable. I like sitting in them, and also I found that there is a lot of adjustment in the seats themselves, so I can move kind of like fore and aft and get myself into a nice comfortable seating position. Actually, I think this is a better seating position than the Ford Maverick that we have in our long-term fleet right now. Other impressions about the Slate's interior is I'm really surprised about how much room I have in here. There is a ton of headroom to start, and I like how much legroom I have, and there's no big center console. I mean, you can add one because customization, right? But there's no big center console here, so I have a lot of room to sprawl out, and so will your passenger. Another thing about the seats and the seating area, Slate will sell you some vinyl covers for the seats themselves, so you can really bring the interior to life. They're around $250, and you can change the color to brown, or you can do some kind of like black pleather material. It's all about changing this in the name of what you think is most important for you. Of course, you can get the iPad holder, you can get a sound system, you can get a couple of other things, but really overall is a, even though basic, I would say pretty usable and easy to get used to kind of space. Another huge part of the Slate's customization is the fact that it's not just a truck. If you want, you can order it as an SUV from the factory with a second row, and that's how it will be delivered to you. But you don't get an extra door, you have to clamber in from the front to the back, so I want to see exactly what that's going to be like. Here we go. I found the easiest way is to stick one leg in front here and then pull yourself in with the B-pillar, and then you can adjust yourself into the back seat. Thankfully, the front seat slides really far forward. It's not the hardest thing in the world to do. It just requires a little bit of flexibility. It's actually got a lot of headroom back here. And if I slide over behind the driver's seat, which is set for me, you'll know that there is actually a pretty decent amount of legroom here too. And I have a nice place to put my feet underneath the seat itself. This is actually a pretty nice compromise. It might feel a little cramped and a little dark because we're in a studio, but once you're outside in the light, it's going to feel like a much bigger space, and you're not going to have trouble fitting your friends inside the SUV version of the Slate. When you get the SUV variant, you'll have to attach some new pillars to the back of the car. They look like this and become a structural component of the truck. Once you hook the roll bar up, the car automatically recognizes that it's been installed, and it activates the airbags that are tucked away inside the two roof rails along the side. If you're going to have more occupants, you're going to need more airbags, so it is crucial that Slate package these up the way that they did. You won't be stuck with the SUV if you ask for it that way though. You can always buy what you need to convert it back into a pickup truck. Slate has changed things up, and they've given us a few more official facts and figures since we first saw the truck last year. Payload and towing. Payload is going to be around 1,550 pounds, and towing is a max of 2,000. Also, there used to be two different battery configurations that you could buy. That is now changed to just one. It's around 64 kilowatt hours, and it's going to deliver an estimate of 205 miles of range on a single charge. This is a Slate estimate, not the official EPA number. Charging is going to be done via a Tesla-style NACS port, and that means you will have access to the Tesla supercharger network. Peak charge rate is around 120 kilowatts, which means you can get from 20% to 80% in around 30 minutes. If you're enjoying this video and you'd like to see us cover more reveals and upcoming cars, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. It's the best way to let us know. So when it comes to the Slate, I actually really like it. It's got charm and personality, and much more so in person than ever comes through in the photos. Also, I like that it's got stuff like a standard bedliner. There are much bigger pickup trucks that don't have anything like that. You have to pay extra for it. Also, exterior build quality is much nicer. I still think they have plenty of room for improvement on the interior, but I'm sure that will come as they get closer to final validation. But the big thing is that Slate is no longer some pie in the sky, like will they or won't they dream, or like who knows, maybe it's just another investment from Amazon. It's going to end up as a delivery vehicle. No, it's a real thing. We have a real range figure, we have a real charging number, we have a official final price. There are a lot of things that make this feel a lot less nebulous than it did before, and I think that's a really, really good thing.
I'm rooting for the Slate. I think it's kind of plucky, and there's not really that much like it on the market right now. If you want a small, hyper customizable little EV pickup truck, the Slate is going to be the one for you.